is a brand new week. Um, Mars is in retrograde, and I'm just I think that we saw some momentum at the beginning of this year, and then it's not that we are in like Mercury retrograde. It's more like we are kind of in a building phase a little bit again before we see that momentum speed up when Mars moves out of retrograde. So if you felt like I got a good kick to the new year and then it kind of feels like it slowed down, like you're not alone, it's all good, and it doesn't mean or say anything about that. And that's just a good reminder that nothing has to say or mean that it doesn't get to work for you. Nothing has to say or mean that it doesn't get to be successful for you. Nothing has to say or mean that it doesn't work for you. And I think like that feels like the message in the jump off, right? Is that we get to acknowledge that nothing that is coming up in our physical reality, we have to take super seriously. We have to take for like what it is and what it's worth. Like we just get to step back and say, I wonder what this is trying to show me, either about the beliefs I have, or maybe this is just working some kinks out. I've been reading Ina Garten's book, Be Ready When the Luck Happens, which is phenomenal, by the way. Like I'm a little bit of like a Betty homemaker. I love to cook. I love to just take care of my house and my space. So this has been a really great read. But one of the things she said is anytime something bad would happen, she would say, "What luck. I wonder what this is doing for me." And I always talk about the affirmation, like everything's always working out for me. But she would say, like, "What luck. I wonder what this is doing for me." So, for example, she spent all of this time and money renovating this apartment in Paris, but she actually wanted the apartment above her. And at some point, the person above her left the bathtub on and just left for like a couple days, and it overflowed into the apartment. It totally wrecked her apartment and their apartment, to the point of like extreme repair. And she said, "You know what? I won't charge your insurance. I just want to buy this from you. I just want to take this over." And he was like, "Okay." And she was like, "This was one of the best things that could have happened, is because I've been trying to figure out who the owner was for years." And so I would say to you, as the things come up that are unfortunate, as the things that come up that feel hard or heavy, as the things come up that feel like obstacles or blocks, I wonder where this is leading me. I wonder what it's doing for me. I wonder what it must be telling me. For example, my husband just had a really severe case of the flu, super severe case of the flu. I feel like I have not seen him for like all of January. um, because he was quarantining himself down in the guest bedroom, but like he was so sick. And I just said to him, I'm like, I think the universe is asking to rest. Like he didn't touch his phone for 4 days. Like he didn't move for like days, and he just slept pretty much and I've never seen him like that in the 20 years we've been together. And so, I think that these things are coming up, and I want you to ask, what is this trying to do for me? I wonder what's on the other side of this, or what do I need to know about this? Is there anything in me that is manifesting this or looking for this? And I think that's, the key. And so, just a mini example to extend on that, I have obviously been trying to dodge the flu. And, uh, you know, everybody knew Brandon was sick because Brandon is Mr. Social Butterfly. He owns a business. Everybody's like knows when he's not well. Like everybody is involved of like, hey, how's things going? Do you guys need anything? And I had so many people say to me like, well, you can't really escape the flu. You guys are next. And I'm like, no way. I don't claim that energy. Here's what I'm doing for me. I'm making sure I'm working out. I'm making sure I'm getting a good night's sleep. And I am telling myself that my body knows how to heal. I have a really strong immune system. My body knows how to heal itself, and I have a really strong immune system. And so whenever anybody in the house gets sick, we don't automatically assume that everybody else has to get sick. It is, oh, I'm going to take my vitamins. I'm going to get a good night's sleep. I'm going to drink a little bit more water. I'm going to, remind myself that my body knows how to heal itself. And so usually if one person in the house does get sick, we don't all get sick. Once in a while, obviously things happen, but truly the stories we tell ourselves about the experience that has to happen is so important. It's so important. It is the message of the day. In fact, it is the message of the day. The stories we tell ourselves about what has to happen next. What does it mean? What does it say? What does it have to happen? It's just a lie. It's all made up. And if we start to look at the world as though it's all made up, then we kind of take a step back and it's like, oh, it's all made up. I don't have to experience that. I don't want that. Um, I put in for something that I really, really do want. I applied for something I really want. And it's an experience, it's something I would really like to happen. And I realized the other day, I'm like, I have to really detach from this because it doesn't matter if I'm supposed to go, I'm supposed to go. If it's supposed to happen, it's supposed to happen. And if not, I'm sure something else wonderful will come my way as well. And so when we are able to remind ourselves that the stories we tell ourselves are what we're starting to see in the world, it's how we're starting to experience the world. Like, and I'm going to go back to the example of my husband being sick and me trying not to be sick. I'm human. There were times where I'm like, shit, like I just got like coughed on, like, I'm trying to like make sure I'm getting in clean clothes and doing stuff. And so there were moments where I'm like, okay, am I sore from working out or is this a body ache? Is that like, and I'm like, no, my body knows how to heal itself. And so no matter what is happening in your reality, no matter what is happening in the assumptions you've held previously, I want you to ask yourself, is it true? Does it have to be true? What else would I rather happen here? How do I surrender and detach from the outcome here? How do I not feed into the fear of what could happen here? And I think that's the bigger point, right? Is how do I not feed into the fear of what could happen here? And I think that's really challenging when we've been told stories. Like I said, I had so many people who were like, well, you guys are probably going to end up with it, like, whatever else. So I refuse. I reject that notion. I don't claim that energy at all. And so I encourage you to look at what's hard in your life right now, what feels challenging, and ask yourself, what are you doing for you? Like I said, when there's sickness, here's what I do. I tell myself a new story, and I'm intentional about that. It's not natural to me. I grew up in a house that believed that if one person got sick, everybody had to get it. What bugs do. That's what viruses do. I reject that. I don't want anything to do with that. So I start telling myself a new story and I take the action. What is the action I have to take? The action I take is taking like supplements, taking turkey tail mushroom droppers. Like there's an olive leaf extract that I'm using that I think is really good for immune system building. So it's like nothing has to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like nothing has to be the case. Nothing has to be true. Nothing's ultimately true. Like there are very few ultimate truths, and the stories that you created are not always ultimate truths, which is why we can choose a better story, which is why we can take a step back and look at it and say, what would I rather believe in and be true about this scenario, and what action do I need to take to support that belief? And maybe it's as simple as I just need to not think about it for a minute. Maybe you've poured negative energy into it, and maybe you've spun this negative energy out of control and it feels really real, and maybe that we're not going from 0 to 60 if no, it's fine. Maybe it's going from just 0 to 60 to neutral. Like how can we find a neutral spot, a halfway point of, okay, I am still feeling afraid of this, or I really want this to happen and I'm worried it won't, to I'm just accepting whatever happens. Acceptance is the great neutralizer. I say this time and time again. If we can do nothing else, we can accept where it's at, and then we can build on a positive belief when we're ready. We don't have to go against what doesn't feel true. That's not how we actually change our mind. We have to be willing to believe in the thing that we say we believe in, or it doesn't work. It doesn't matter. That's why people don't believe in this work, and they fail and they try again and they fail because they aren't doing it to work with themselves and where they're already at and where their program's already set at. We are doing that. We're saying, hey, I know that I used to have this belief, and I know that it's easy and likely to assume this is going to happen or expect this is going to happen. The law of assumption is knowing. I was actually thinking about this for a talk I'm doing next week. Like the law of assumption is a knowing. It's a knowing. Knowing means that I know this is a cup. How do I know this is a cup? Well, obviously it's a cup, Nichole. Some people might even call it a mug. Like I know this is a cup and I know I can put stuff in it, I can drink out of it and it will be wonderful. How do I know it's a cup? Because somebody told me it was a cup? Why isn't this a plate? And you're probably like, what the fuck is your point? But my point is that when you know something to be true, it becomes a knowing. Believing and wanting to believe are different than knowing. And when you can find a knowing, because the law of assumption is the assumed thing that has to happen, it's actually a wannabe knowing. But a knowing is a deep belief that this gets to work out. And if you know nothing, all I want you to have the knowing of is that you're divinely supported, that you are an extension of the universal energy. And because of that, you get to create whatever the fuck you want. So, why would this tiny little baby situation hold you up? Why would this tiny little obstacle have so much of your negative attention? When you know, and maybe that's the piece to ingrain when you know that you are divinely supported, when you know you are divinely protected, when you know that your thoughts shape your reality, when you know that everything you think is a variation of manifesting and it's putting you out at a frequency, even if it's not creating negative things, it's putting you out at a frequency to draw in and attract those things. And I don't believe we are responsible for fate. I don't believe we are responsible for everything in our life. I think that God still is God, but I do believe that we do have a role, and sometimes we create negative momentum and inconveniences for no fucking reason. I'm healthy, I'm whole, I'm happy. My immune system's fucking awesome. Dude, I have the strongest immune system. I am like healthy for always. I'm always healthy. I'm so fucking grateful because I have source energy flowing through me, and source energy flowing through me reminds me and is a knowing for me that it gets to be good whenever I fucking remember. It gets to be good and it gets to be easy, and I get to redecide in any situation what I would prefer. I think I told this story a long time ago, but I used to run a company selling stuff on Amazon and eBay. And when I was running this company on Amazon and eBay, I was like in a war with Amazon. Like Amazon hated me. Like we were having a time where they would like I put my posting up and they would take it down or they would restrict it in some weird way. And I mean probably for 20 to 30 days. And for me with that business not selling on Amazon for 20 to 30 days during my peak season was terrible. And I remember just feeling like, God, Amazon's so shitty. It's so unfair. Like, it hates sellers. Like, I had all these insane stories that I had started to develop because I was so frustrated around the situation. And I like did this for 20 some days. I fought this. I called daily. I had these conversations. I'd get the email, they'd reject it again. And I had already been on Amazon. It wasn't a new thing. So like it was like 3 years in and they were just giving me fits. And then one day I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I've like caught myself saying it out loud at how shitty Amazon was and like how much of a battle this has been. Like, battle, what a big word, first of all. Crappy, shitty, like what terrible words to describe something that I'm dealing with, especially connected to my like finances. So I went back and I sat with it and I reset that energy and I poured light over it and I made peace within myself that this gets to work for me and I just get to let it unfold as it gets to work for me. And as it gets to work for me, it just gets easier and easier and easier to use. And I grow accustomed to whatever they're looking for. And it's very simple solution. All the solutions are simple. And I just sat with that energy after battling for a long time with Amazon. I'm not shitting you, within 3 hours, I got an email saying, "All resolved, please resume as normal." So, it doesn't matter how long it's been, it doesn't matter how challenging it's been and for how long it's been, it doesn't matter. It matters today, right now, what we're doing moving forward. What are we doing moving forward? We're deciding something new. What are we deciding something new about? Whatever's hard. And if you can't decide something new about whatever's hard, focus on what's going well. Shift your energy around. You have the power of focus. You were born with the superpower of focus, and the superpower of focus means that you get to decide where your energy goes. And I think that's exciting. Like, how fucking fun is that? Isn't that way more fun than feeling like a victim to random viruses? Isn't that way more fun than feeling like bad things just keep happening? Isn't that more fun to play? And I'm not saying that shitty things don't happen. I'm saying whenever we can remind ourselves in our power to either observe it as, where is this leading me? What is my part? Can I change my energy around it, or do I have to just let it play out and focus my energy elsewhere? I don't know, but I would love for you to begin to look at obstacles in your life in that way. Like, what's next for you? What do you want? What do you want it to feel like? What do you want it to look like? How do you want to hold space for yourself, and how do you want to play your part? How do you want to take the action? I can say, I want to speak on 30 stages in 2025, but if I don't ever apply to anything, how the fuck am I gonna do that? You have to do your part, and part of doing your part is finding the mindset, deciding the situation, and letting the rest work itself out. You are connected to the heart and mind of God. You are powerful in your energy field. You have within you the power that creates worlds. So why do you think this little tiny situation that you're up against is so hard? It's not. It's easy for the universe. The Course in Miracles says there's no order of difficulty in miracles. Like $40, $4 comes as easy as 400,000. There's no order of difficulty in miracles. We have our personal maximums and minimums of what we're willing to believe on all levels, right? On love, on career, on relationships, like where can we see ourselves? But we also have to be willing to do our part. We have to be willing to push those maximums, push those minimums up a little bit. Assume more, know more. And I think if you know nothing, you should know that you're divinely connected, that this gets to be good and it gets to be, keep getting better. I love when people work with me and they are like, Nichole, I started working with you and then I got like a check in the mail. And which is so funny because I feel like checks don't really come in the mail a ton anymore. But like in order for that check to have made it to you around the same time you started working with me, then there was also this element of like it had to have been on its way. Like it's all divinely orchestrated. It's just like, are you going to answer the calling or not? Are you going to follow the intuitive nudge or not? Are you going to step into your highest self or not? That's the question. Is are you going to do your part? Are you going to listen to that nudge? Are you going to follow your next truth? And I think that that is challenging and tricky, but true, but honest, but exciting. And I think it gets to be good and it gets to keep getting better, but only if you find your own inner responsibility, only if you connect with the knowing that you have inside of yourself, that you are powerful, that you're not a victim, that you are a creator, that things get to feel good for you, that the situations that are hard you get to rewrite, and if they don't change, you get to wait and see. We want things to happen in our time, and sometimes we're not ready. We want things to happen on our timeline, and we decide if it's not on our timeline, then it doesn't get to happen anymore, and that's bullshit. That's not how it works. I used to use an analogy by T.D. Jakes, and he talked about, if I handed my 5-year-old a set of car keys and said, "Go ahead and take it, son," they wouldn't know what to do with the car keys. They would just lose them probably. They would probably play with them and set them down somewhere and flush them down the toilet. Who knows? Now, if I handed my 17-year-old my car keys and said, "Have at it, this is yours," it would mean something entirely different. And so sometimes we're not ready. And sometimes the universe knows a better timing than we do. And just because we feel like the thing that we wanted hasn't happened yet, or the thing, we needed hasn't happened yet, that it doesn't get to happen is just like an absolute fucking lie. It's a weird story that we've told ourselves. And there's so many stories we can tell ourselves. So why choose the bad ones? Why choose the hard ones? Why choose the ones where you're not worthy enough? Why choose the ones where you're not good enough? Why choose the ones that say something about you that's severely wrong and severely negative? I wrote in my first book that you wouldn't go to the hospital and be like, "That's that baby in the hospital is the shittiest baby. That's the crappiest baby. That baby's not good enough. The rest of the babies are fine. That baby," like you wouldn't. So that's not true, and we can acknowledge that's not true. So what if you're still that same energy, that same pure light that came to this earth? What if you're that same energy? And if you are the same energy, which you are, then we can know that you are simply good enough as you are. That's not the issue. But you've been sold stories that aren't true, and we just have to undo the stories that aren't true. And that's it. And that's all. And that's doable. Like that's a thing you're capable of. That's a thing that is possible for you. So here's to new stories. Here's to new stories. It's 2025. We don't have time for the old stories. We have to start working on ourselves in a way that is reflective of where we're heading. And we can't continue and we can't waste time on stories that are going to keep us small, keep us sick, keep us stuck in beliefs that aren't serving us on any level, shape, or form. We get to create space for the things we love and the things we want. We get to step into our next energy. And I think that's exciting. I think this year is going to be really exciting. Like I said, last year was the foundation building year, but this year, it's your year. It's exciting, it's fun, it's new, it's fresh, um, and I think it's just going to keep getting better. But this is the time where you do your part. You do the work. You challenge the things that you're challenging. You take control over your superpower, which is focus. And I'll drink some coffee to that. What else do we have me say? Okay, so we have the live Q&A coming up on Friday. If you cannot make it, which I know a lot of you can't make that time, please submit your questions to me. I'll be reading them and responding live, and then you can jump in. And if you want to chit chat, I'll be there. So we'll have that opportunity on the 17th. And then the end of the month, the last Friday in the month, we have a masterclass with Chris Stilson. You guys know him. He came maybe like a year and a half ago. He's fantastic. He's a psychic medium from the Elmira, New York area, but he's amazing. He's wonderful. And you're going to love him. We're going to talk about his new book and infused intuition. So it'll be a master class, but you'll also get like a sneak peek into his new book and the content and his brilliance in the new book. So I love you guys. If you need anything, let me know. Happy Wednesday.